Hey Husker fans, Evan Bland with Jimmy Watkins from the Omaha World-Herald, back inside Memorial Stadium on another gorgeous day. It's been a long one today. This was Nebraska's first day inside Memorial Stadium practicing, so media members got to see the open portion of that for about half an hour before. And then afterward, it was offense day. We had Mark Whipple, we had Casey Thompson, Chubba Purdy at quarterback, a couple other offensive players. Where do you start with this one, Jimmy? What are some of your bigger takeaways?
Well, the first takeaway I would have is that Turner Corcoran was in shorts, not in pads, not participating in today's practice. Chubba Purdy alluded that he's been out for a bit, which if we do some reverse engineering here, we saw Turner Corcoran in practice around this time, Monday last week, right? So between now and then, Turner Corcoran got hurt. He's probably not his first practice that he's missed. If Chubba is speaking about him in those terms, that's a key because this offensive line is already being shuffled around. It's already a group that doesn't have a ton of continuity. And Turner Corcoran himself, while he has experience playing games for Nebraska, he missed time in the spring, and it's a new offensive system, new offensive line coach. You know these things already. The other person we did see, but who was not participating, is Chris Hickman, who is an Omaha native and has the potential to be a very good receiving tight end in this offense. Can't do that when you're wearing a boot on your left foot, though, as he was today. That's not a great sign for his prospects in the number 2 tight end competition behind Travis Vokalek. Sean Beckton has mentioned him, Chancellor Brewington, and Nate Borkacher as guys who are in that race. We saw Thomas Fedoni running stairs in the stadium today. Mm-hmm. That's a good sign. The way his injury has been discussed among the coaches is that Beckton made it seem like it's not a huge deal, but they're playing it as safe as they possibly can. With the doctors, he said that last week. Because Thomas Fedoni has had so many injuries already, the knee has given him trouble in the past, they just want to make sure that he has zero hang-ups about playing before they decide to clear him. Other than that, we talked to Mickey Joseph today, the wide receivers coach. He said that the receivers have responded well, even jokingly thanked the media for getting his message out there last week about the receivers needing to step up in the leadership department. He says they've responded well. He also mentioned, I thought this was interesting, that he wants these guys to play through nicks, play through small injuries, not just play through them, practice through them, because practicing through them prepares you to play through them, right? And in football, no one's ever healthy. That's what they tell us. Guy he mentioned by name was Oliver Martin, who obviously had a great start to last season with the 6 catches, 103 yards, and a touchdown against Illinois and during week 0 last year. And we didn't see him for a while because he was battling injury. So I think that's interesting. Mickey, that kind of follows the theme that Mickey's been putting out there this entire offseason, right? He wants to toughen those guys up. He wants to challenge them, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah, the other kind of big picture thing from today was to hear from the quarterbacks, Casey Thompson, Chubba Purdy. They said this was maybe one of the first practices things didn't go well for them. Mark Whipple echoed that too, saying, guys didn't maybe want to get yelled at today, and so there wasn't maybe that vocal component, but they worked through it. And I thought Casey Thompson made a good point today too when he said, as a leader, sometimes you don't have to wait for the low moments to sort of rally the guys. And so it's becoming clear that he's one of those vocal guys. Travis Vokalek, the tight end, is one of those guys. And even Turner Corcoran, who you mentioned, wasn't out there in full pads, was somebody who was vocal and trying to kind of get guys going a little bit in that regard, too. So the defense won the day. On this one, you talked to Teddy a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Anything notable from the left tackle?
Teddy Prohaska talked about coming back from that knee injury. We had a story run on that over the summer. But he did describe when he first came back to fall camp a sort of shocking sensation, similar to what he felt when he first played at Nebraska last year, first got his first game action. It's just sort of reminding his body, oh, wow, these guys move quick, they hit hard. This is different than what I've been doing, which is, lifting lighter and then progressively heavier weights. The rehab is sort of a gentle process back, and then football is very much not that. He also made a very interesting, poignant point about Casey Thompson as a quarterback. Scott Frost said last week that Thompson, you can tell that Thompson has played before. His maturity shows. He doesn't do things that other young quarterbacks do. And I asked Teddy about that sentiment, and he said basically that it's Casey's pocket presence. Like when Casey drops back to pass, Teddy always knows where he's going to be, which is of course notable because last season Adrian Martinez, you don't always know where he's going to be, and that's not necessarily a knock against Adrian. He was a great escape artist. He was fun to watch at times doing that, but it does complicate the offensive line's job when you don't know where the quarterback is going to be throwing from, and it sounds like Casey is a little bit more consistent in that regard. Someone else talked about Casey today, his former teammate and current teammate, Marcus Washington, the transfer from Texas, the new wide receiver, mentioned that Casey's, he says he hasn't seen a ton of difference when Casey had the injured thumb, as everyone else has been saying that Casey, you can tell a difference between the way he spins it since the procedure this offseason, but it's obviously a good thing that he got it done. Everyone is very pleased with where that's at. Marcus mentioned that he compared Mickey Joseph to his dad, and he was kind of trying to find the comparison. As someone who's talked to his dad, I think it's just that they're both straight shooters. They're both going to be, they're not afraid to be blunt / abrasive with the receivers, and Marcus said he responds well to that brand of coaching. A lot of the receivers seem to feel that way. He also gave a brief overview, a brief evaluation of the other receivers in that room. Trey Palmer has, quote, speed that Marcus Washington has never seen before. We should mention Trey Palmer wasn't out here today, wasn't feeling very well, but Nebraska's very pleased with everything that he's doing in camp otherwise. He mentioned Omar Manning's size, 6'4", that jumps out to you. That could be potentially a big-time red zone weapon for Nebraska this season. And Oliver Martin got the technically sound label, and that's another guy that Mickey Joseph has praised for doing a lot of the right things. And I think specifically being in the right places, which, again, passing game is about timing and chemistry. And if you know where everyone is, if you know where the quarterback's going to be throwing from, it's easier to block for him. If you know the receivers are going to be, it's easier to throw to them.
Well, we're winding it down, man. It's one more week, and then it's game week. Northwestern in Ireland, it's coming right up. So they're continuing to kind of winnow that depth chart down. Guys are starting to fall into position a little bit. We'll keep learning about it. Scott Frost will be out here Saturday talking. We'll be there. Stay with us. Thanks for reading. Thanks for watching. For Jimmy, I'm Evan with the World-Herald. Thanks, guys.